Okay, last week we were learning about tattoos. And we're discussing the various different tattoos and the various different names of Hashem, how you can erase it, can you erase it, and so on. There's also a very practical question that a lot of women are asking today, and it's discussed in contemporary halacha, and that is they have what's called microblading, which means they have a type of a permanent makeup that they actually, it lasts for 6 months or so, then you don't have to keep putting on the makeup, they just actually put it on. Now the question is that allowed? What's the question? Because the way they put it on is actually tattooing. They actually tattoo it into your skin. That's the way it's done. The only question is, it lasts for 6 months. So the question is, does that have a din of a tattoo because it's not permanent? But then you have another shaila, what is the definition of permanent? Permanent. Nothing's permanent. So the question is 6 months called permanent? So a lot of contemporary poskim taka hold you're not allowed to do it. And there's others that are lenient that say because it's not permanent, it's only 6 months, you can do it. But again, it's a big controversy in contemporary halacha. If the question is, if it will be a permanent tattoo, for sure it's also. The question is, what is considered permanency when it comes to tattoo? So according to many opinions, 6 months is called permanent. I mean, for Hilchos Shabbos, if you would write a permanent writing that lasts for 6 months, for sure it's called writing. Yeah. And this is called Ksevis Kaka. It's written. So again, it is definitely a big question, halacha, if you're allowed to do it or not. Okay, that's okay. Another thing which is not done today in most places. The Torah says about Ksevis Kaka, and the Torah says people in the olden times, the idol worshippers, when somebody died, they would rip out hair from the head and the face. So that's obviously forbidden. But again, in today's world, I don't think anybody, can't say nobody, but at least in our circles, I don't see people doing it.
I'm very glad to hear it.
I'm glad to hear it, yeah. Okay, by the way, this is because it's a negative commandment, women are also obligated in this union of tattoos and all scratching. They used to scratch their hands over dead people. There was also terms basically of idol worshipping. It's very interesting. Sefer HaMitzvahs, when the Rambam talks about all these things, and we'll learn next about the payas and all that, and garments, all those types of things, the Rambam says you can't do it because that's what the idol worshipping priests used to do. It's all interesting, even though it's a chayk, all these things. But the Rambam writes, not in the big Rambam, in Sefer HaMitzvahs, when you talk about the mitzvahs, the Rambam writes, because that's what the Galachim used to do, and therefore it's a din of chukas hagoy. So that's the logic behind it. Obviously, it's exercise because you're not allowed to do it anyway. Okay, but by the way, sometimes though, I just have to say, there's sometimes medicinal times, if people, God forbid, have cancer and they need to mark certain areas, and they mark it with, it's more than just a marker, so that obviously is allowed because it's a din b'koach nefesh anyway. All these things, if it's medicinal, but I'm putting a makeup is not medicinal. It's, whatever.
What about after the surgery? Someone had such a plastic surgery in a car accident.
Right.
And then upon returning their features, there needs to be some tattooing to restructure what they, for their looks.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, it has to be plastic surgery. Plastic surgery is not always tattooing.
No, I'm saying if there's tattooing involved in that procedure, hypothetically.
They have to ask a shaila because it depends, what the story is. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, if you want a general answer, the answer is no, if it's tattooing. If it's other issues, then it's a different story. But ibachal plastic surgery, we discussed this a while ago, it's not so easy that a woman is allowed to do plastic surgery, or a man for that matter. Because there's a din, you're not allowed to damage yourself. So plastic surgery is actually a form of surgery. It's mamish surgery. So the question is, are you allowed to? It's not so simple. Every case is an individual shaila. So let's say somebody, God forbid, was in a car accident, you said, and became deformed, and they want to do plastic surgery because, God forbid, it could affect their shidduch, it could affect just can affect the mental state.
Distort what they look like.
1 second. So in that case, plastic surgery is allowed. There's a lot of tshuvas written. A girl was, whatever, didn't look good enough and she was afraid of a shidduch. Are you allowed to do plastic surgery to fix her face, her nose, her face, or whatever it is? So that, poskim right, again, every case has to be asked individually. But over there is a heter sometimes because of mental anguish that could lead to suicide. You can't just say, yeah, that's it, But then you have somebody doesn't like the nose. They're married already, let's say. I don't like my nose. I don't like my mouth or whatever. It's not so simple that somebody would be allowed to do plastic surgery. Botox is also a question if you're allowed to do it. But Botox is not actually a surgery. Botox. Zot nicht wissen von dem. And when the Rebbe used to speak about things, I remember the Rebbe once spoke about Sandy Koufax when he didn't pitch in the World Series. So I remember when the Rebbe spoke about it, the Rebbe said, Und die was weißen nicht wegen dem, Tovi alem brach. If you know what I'm talking about, you should be blessed. You darf nicht kein Botox. You don't need Botox.
If the Jews in that tattooism, can she give tattoo to another Jew? Or?
What?
Can a Jew give tattoo to another Jew?
For medical purpose?
No, just a business, a tattoo business.
No, you can't give tattoos.
So you can receive and you can give tattoos.
Yeah. You can't give it and you can't take it. Now, a guy is not mochiv in that. So technically, a Jew would be allowed to do it to a guy because it's not b'psarchem. It's not in a Jewish thing. But for one Jew to do it to another Jew, a guy can't do it, a Jew can't have it done either. Again, it's the same thing. That's part of the microblading stuff. So if it lasts for 6 months, it's a machlekes in contemporary poskim if that's considered a tattoo that's permanent or not. So again, it's the same question if you're allowed to do it. So, but anything like a plastic surgery, all those types of things, are poshet shailus and halacha, because you're damaging yourself without it. In fact, I mentioned this a number of times already. There was once a printed answer from, now it's printed in Likutei Sichos, but when they first printed it in the Likutim, when it came out weekly, but then the week later there was a mamish mistake. It's printed already in the back of Likutei Sichos, they corrected it. Somebody asked the Rebbe about, to show how far it goes, about girls getting their ears pierced. Is that allowed? Because you're hurting yourself, you're damaging yourself. So in the initial answer that came out printed, the Rebbe writes you're not allowed to. But it was wrong. The Mamish fixed it the next week, because the Rebbe wrote that because the enjoyment outweighs the few seconds of the pain, they're allowed to do it, but the Rebbe writes it would be preferred to wait until they get older. That's what the Rebbe writes, because they should want to do it themselves. Well, today everybody does it as soon as the baby's, before they're born, they're already doing it. Putting in earrings already. And the kid's not even born yet, they're doing in utero.
What's the age the Rebbe says to do it?
He doesn't say, when they get a little bit older. The Pearl today, I'm saying he didn't say no, but today they do it already. Okay. Next thing over here is like this. Shaving the beard, shaving the payas and all that. Now, the Torah says you're not allowed to, it says, you're not allowed to destroy it. So biblically, according to all opinions, it's forbidden to shave with a razor. That's biblically forbidden according to all opinion. Now the Gemara says also, and this brought down Shulchan Aruch, that there's 5 corners. It says leisakifu pas reishchem. Leisakifu pas reishchem. Now pas reishchem, the Gemara learns, there's 5 corners. It's a machlekes in halacha which are the 5 corners, but generally speaking, it's here, here, and here. That means if somebody would shave with a razor all the parts of their face, they'd be transgressing 5 biblical commandments as often whenever they do it. Now, what happens if somebody uses an electric shaver, which doesn't actually cut into the skin? So then a lot of poskim permit it, a lot of poskim don't. Tzemach tzedek still forbids it anyway. But there are opinions that say you're allowed to do it. Now what that means is as follows. In our circles we don't do it. It's the Tzemach tzedek holds it's 5 lavim at least silbash gever, whatever. But there are certain razors, people should be aware of this. There are certain shavers today, certain neuralcos, and you have to speak to the people that the rabbis that shave. But there are certain neuralcos that actually go beneath the skin and mamish cut the hair like a razor. Those electric shavers, according to all opinions, they can't use. Because it's mamish like a razor. It's electric, but it's mamish a razor. If it just, cuts, so then, again, we hold it's forbidden. And many poskim hold it's forbidden. And there are poskim that hold it's allowed. Now, the same thing with the payas. You have to have payas. Now, the different minhagim, people have very long payas. In Chabad, the custom generally is we don't have very long payas. But what's the length of the payas? So the minimum, some poskim write until the end of the ear. But the halacha, what we hold is, this is the halacha actually, until this bone over here, that's how far the payas have to touch. Until onto the bone. That's where the payas need to touch. So you can't also shave the payas or cut the payas and make sure there's no payas at all. This is also biblically forbidden. Okay, so he says, now, it's interesting, halachically, if somebody wants to shave cut the mustache with scissors that gets in the way of the eating, so then halacha says you're allowed to do it. Many chassidim did, many chassidim didn't, whatever. The Rebbe obviously didn't. It was obviously noticeable that he didn't. But people halachically, if you want to shave, even cut the mustache, it shouldn't be in the way of eating, you would be allowed to do that also. And that's basically in a nutshell with those din in mind. Okay, next siman over here is a very interesting din. It's the dinim of leisilbash gever. A man is not allowed to wear women's clothing, and women are not allowed to wear men's clothing. It's a Ferish Pasik in Chumash. And again, the Rambam connects it in Sefer HaMitzvahs to have a deserted dress. That's what he connects. So the Isser is, a man is not allowed to wear women's garments, even if it's one garment. That's noticeably a woman's garment. That means the reason why, this is the concept of it. I mean, you can have a woman's sweater that a man couldn't wear. It's not a woman's garment. It has to be, there are certain garments that stick out as a woman. Like, for instance, if a man would want to wear a dress, that would be halachically forbidden. Oh, so now the question is, huh?
They allow men to wear dresses. They allow men to wear dresses.
I understand that, but they don't classify themselves as men.
They're not sure.
And this is the Raisa, right?
This is the Raisa. Now, concerning Purim costumes, it's coming up the season, 3 weeks from today is Purim. So, concerning costumes, the poskim write in the dinim of Purim, you have to be careful that men should not be wearing women's clothing even on Purim. Because it's still a lav in the Torah, would mean Purim. Purim cannot negate a lav in the Torah. So, I mean, there's some people that make on very little kids, if a girl wants to dress up like Mordechai, you know what I mean? It's not, but I'm talking about babies, not, but generally speaking, a man is not allowed to wear women's clothing. Women cannot wear men's clothing. But it's...
I'm out, I'm wearing a suit. I'm with my wife, she's cold. I can't take off the suit jacket.
That's what I'm saying. The purpose of leisilbash gever is that you shouldn't go mingle with women. Man shouldn't go mingle with the women. A woman shouldn't go mingle with the man. So if a woman's cold and the guy takes off his jacket or his, that's not a problem. First of all, it has to be koch nefesh also, maybe.
That's to save your marriage.
It doesn't say save your life. Yeah. It says save your life. So it's be koch nefesh.
Just for clarity, it's really like if the guy or the person is wearing it as clothing. Like in his example, she's chilly. She's not borrowing his men's clothing. Right? Is that the core of it?
Yeah, that's the core.
No, this is mine.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I mean, it's time for mincha. We'll continue tomorrow night, Mitzvah Shem. But according to many poskim, if a woman wears tzitzis or tefillin, in addition to the fact that she shouldn't, tefillin especially not, it's forbidden, but they're also getting the lav, alisilbesh isha simlas gever. Because tefillin are men's garment.
Right.
Well, in fact, the Shulchan Aruch it says if women, today may be a little different, if women would wear men's armor that they used to wear, the war would be a negative commandment.
I have to ask you a question.
What?